Welcome to Sunday Night Live, folks. This is the Prepared Mind channel, and I'm Jim, not Johnny. Johnny is still on, shall we say, temporary leave of absence because YouTube wanted to punish him. Anyways, folks, I'm back. It is Sunday Night Live. It is the zoo. This is the show where you guys take the directing lead, where you guys tell me what you want to talk about, where you get to choose. You pick a super chat, right? You make a super chat donation, hit that button, make a super chat donation, and I'll make you famous. Folks, this is where you guys really step up and direct the show. Now, I've got dozens of things to talk about, and I do have one very new, sensitive, and personal topic to go over, and I'll get to that as well. But this is your chance to direct the show. The Zoo, where we bring Patreon and all the great Patreon supporters, they get to come here. And then we have YouTube. You guys are crazy over there. And everyone has their role. I mean, you can be both. And a lot of people are. A lot of people sign up at Patreon, but then they participate in YouTube. It's all up to you how you want to do it. But Sunday Night Live is our show together where everyone joins. And we come together live and have more people, folks, on YouTube than the President of the United States of America. Can you believe that? Well, that's a fact. The last few times I've even been able to find anything live from the president, he gets, 300, 400, 500 people live, and most of them are there just to hit a thumbs down on him. Guy's a jackass. I've got some stories on him, but I tell you, here we go. This is how I want to start the show. I wanted to get as many people here as I could. We're at 300 people live right now and going up. Before I get to the kickoff, and this is going to piss you off. This is going to upset you. This is going to open your eyes. This is going to make you fucking wonder what is going on when I tell it to you. I want to give enough people a chance to get here because I'm only going to do this once. And I want to make sure everyone's here. Everyone that likes to show up for the first 30 minutes to 60 minutes. And folks, we'll go 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 3 hours. And one time, folks, one time we went for more than 3 hours live, 3 hours in a row plus, because you guys wanted to keep throwing questions at me. Well, I'm only going to talk about this topic, this very personal topic, one time. And I want to make sure there's enough people here, but it's what I'm going to kick the show off with as far as news items, because this is where the rubber meets the road, folks, is when it affects your life directly, when SHTF comes to your world. And so there it is. Now, are you prepared? Do you have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense? Do you have a plan? Right? Do you know a prepper? Are you a prepper? Do you know a bunch of preppers? Right? Where is your head at with regard to where you live in the country and what you expect to happen in the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? Well, if you need help with anything, getting prepared, you get information here, and you can get it at the rsyndicate.com as well. And I'm hoping Jolene will put that link up in the comments section, the rsyndicate.com, as well as the preparedmind.club. And then there's a link in the preparedmind.club, folks. That is your website where we have all manner of prepping items for sale. We also have links to get medical assistance. That's right. You've heard of this doctor online stuff. Well, the preparedmind.club has a website for you to do just that. Get a real doctor online. Get your medical needs taken care of, folks. As much as they can be done online, they will be done online. Now, so I'm going to throw something at you, and then I'm going to take you into the personal world of John and let you know what has happened. So give it a few seconds. Let's get about 500 people in the room. Oh, before I go, send this link to everybody. Get the link at the top. If you're on YouTube, get that URL, cut it, paste it in an email, and send it to 5 people and say, hey, get your ass over here, folks, right? Shit has hit the fan and you need to find out what's going on. And I have got some shit to talk about. So I'm going to give you a little bumper, right? And remember, thepreparedmind.club is your superstore. It's got links that'll take you all over the internet for the things you need, including medicine, including a doctor. But here we go, and then I'll get into it, folks. You're not going to be happy when I tell you about what's happening. All right, folks, welcome back. We're almost there at the 500 mark. Fuck it, I'm going to go anyways. Welcome back. I'm Jim, John's brother, standing in for him while he's on suspension from YouTube. It's nice to have a twin brother, is it not? Really, it really worked, let's see, to fool mom and dad, and worked to fool everybody. Anyways, this is very personal. Right now, shit has hit the fan. We've been under, in my opinion only, you get to decide for yourself whether what is going on in the world with Cerveza is a sham and a fucking lie. Whether it's just another bug or whether it is a specialized bug that has been mass produced and spread to ensure the world gets it. Whether you think that Cerveza bug is a weaponized version of something else, it doesn't matter because it's out there now. What matters is what are they doing about it? Well, they came up with a concoction, what we call the Jim Jones juice. We call it the zombie sauce. We call it a tequila shot. We have all kinds of colorful names for this thing. I haven't taken it, nor will I. I don't think you could force me to take it if you put a dozen men on me and sat on me. I guess maybe you could force me at that time. But people are being coerced into taking, and coercion is illegal. Duress is illegal. It is fraudulent. It is wrong, and it is criminal. And that is precisely what the federal government is doing. Dirtbag Joe Biden is doing. Governors around this country like jackass Gavin Newsom. Well, I am now short one friend, one patriot, one veteran, one American that I knew because of this coercion. These people who are using threats to force people to take something. I discovered today, Sunday, October 24th, that a friend of mine has died. He died of a heart attack. I confirmed this through two other friends. My friend was working for a company or a federal government contractor, and they were mandating that everyone there takes the Kool-Aid. My friend Randall was about 41 years old. My friend Randall was an Army veteran. My friend Randall, I've known since 2008. My friend Randall competed in a strongman contest that I refereed. My friend Randall was a father. My friend Randall was married. Hundreds or thousands of people knew Randall and knew what his character was. While no one's perfect, Randall made people laugh. He was enthusiastic, full of energy, a good guy. My friend Randall is now dead. And I'm sorry. My friend Randall, in order to keep his job, he was being threatened with losing his job. He was told that if he didn't take the Jim Jones juice, he was going to die. I'm sorry, he's going to be fired. He took the Jim Jones juice, and I was told he died of a heart attack. They tried blaming him on something else. My friend Randall is now dead because he was coerced, because they used threats of unemployment. Randall had a wife to care for. Randall has children. Randall did what he thought he had to do. And I don't have enough details because, you know, Randall's in California and I'm far, far, far away from there. I hate to think of the fear and trepidation he had as they approached him, knowing he had to take that or lose his job. He was willing to risk his health and his life for a job. And he lost his life. He gave his life trying to keep a job. And the way I think about this is no job is worth my life. And no job is worth my health. Folks, when I get a cold, I'm a miserable bastard. When I catch the flu, oftentimes I feel like dying. When I am sick or injured, I'm pissed off and it's no fun. And there's nothing I wouldn't give it in those moments of pain and anguish, suffering to be healthy. Like, dude, I'd give $1,000 to be rid of this a day earlier, you know. But people are being injured, people are getting sick, people are being killed by this crap they call the solution to a problem that they created. And now my friend Randall is dead. Randall is, like I said, he was a veteran. He's a patriot. He got suckered into this shit. It just happened today. It hit, folks. It's pretty fucking close to home. Randall was part of my group in extreme Northern California. It's not a joke. The shit's not a fucking joke. It's that fucking dangerous that he took it and fucking died of a heart attack right there. That's close to home, folks. I don't know how many of you have lost anyone to either cerveza bug or had them get sick because of the Jim Jones juice, or if any of you know anyone that died because they took the fucking Kool-Aid. Well, now I do. I'm more convinced than ever that this shit is part of a eugenics program, part of an agenda. Randall, last time I saw Randall before I left California, he's in great fucking health, great spirits. You know, he showed up at my fifth wheel and knocked on the door. Hey, John. I love you, buddy. Semper Fi, Randall. It's not a joke, people. There's a lot of sick bastards out there, and they're doing this on purpose, and they fucking know it. Godspeed, Randall. All right, moving on with the show now. Jenny Jen, thank you very much for the PayPal donation. Hey, Gray, hello to you, little buddy. I hope all is well there. Take care of your mother. Miss you guys. I know the town's in, everyone's going to be probably upset in the next few days, Jen. Let me know what you hear, okay? With regard to Randall. I don't know if you know or knew Randall, but wow. Okay, and that was a great donation. And Redline Enterprises sent $33.80. That's a 338. That's a hell of a caliber right there. And what he said is, what you think they keep sensationalizing everything today to keep all the little sheep scared to death? You hear about our bomb cyclone that's just a usual rainstorm. Fucking joke. Everything is sensationalized, and that's a great way to put it, Redline. I really appreciate the donation. Folks, this is Sunday Night Live. This is the zoo. Your guys' super chat donations, your contributions, there's the little box up there. You've got a PayPal and other ways to donate to the show. It keeps the lights on, keeps my pantry full of Spam and Brussels sprouts. It keeps us going, even when we're beaten down. Right now, the way I feel is a little depressed over today's event. Now, if I had an outlet, folks, this sadness could turn into it could turn into a lot of action, and I need to be very careful about the way I word things. I'm very pissed off that people, not just my friends, folks, not just Republicans, not just libertarians, but people around the world are being made to suffer. Now, back to Redline Enterprises. Yeah, sensationalizing everything. Everything is now a national story. Everything goes from being regular news to something that's SHTF worthy. So a bomb cyclone, well, it's just a rainstorm. A polar vortex coming out of the north. No, that's called an Arctic storm. They're just storms. Rainstorm, snowstorm, ice storm. Yeah, sometimes you get some really big ass hail balls, and sometimes you get some winds that are faster than normal. But everything is meant to distract us, so that the last news story gets updated with the new sensational, crazy, off the hook news story, followed by, oh my God, you're not going to believe it. The next news. Everything is always the next news story, designed to overstimulate you, to scare you, to keep you on the edge of your seat, so that you never get a moment to come down and relax. Now, on my weekends, and John's the same way, I try and get a day and a half, at the very least, half a day of relaxing in, where I can just kind of put everything off to the side. Well, if the phone rings, I'll find out what the hell's going on, but just give myself some hours to come down, right? Because the idea is to mentally exhaust us, to scare everybody, especially the sheep, folks. Now, you as preppers understand there's an agenda. They sensationalize everything. They're trying to fuck with us. They're trying to drive us in a certain direction, right? Now, sheep all run in the same direction. We're more like cats. You drop a firecracker in someone's backyard, and cats are going to run in every direction, 360 degrees. Including at the sound. It's harder to, and cats are really independent. I mean, cats are so independent, and they're great for this. Cats are so independent, they don't even really need their owners. They're like, yeah, I'm glad to see you, man. You got anything for me? Otherwise, I'm out of here. And they go, right? Cats don't need, sure, they don't mind getting a can of 9 Lives or Friskies, but They're cats, and they run every which way. They don't give a fuck. Sheep follow each other around. And when one sheep gets scared, they all get scared. And that's what the government is pushing. And so they use these big sensationalized news stories to drive us. Now, if it didn't work, Redline, they wouldn't do it. But because it's working, and it's working so well, they're going to continue to do it, push and push and push. And that's what I'm going to, I want to get into more with you guys, is what they're doing. All right, we got Truth Faction with the $10 super chat donation. He says, this is, no, he says, this is for Randall's family. I have to do the best I can there. I got to write this down now. Shit. I wasn't trying to do fundraising or anything. I'll keep track. Thank you very much, Truth Faction. $10 donation to go to Randall's family. Okay. Thank you very much. I wasn't gonna. I didn't expect that. I wasn't even thinking about that. Crazy Uncle does a $20 super chat donation, and he says, "You have my condolences. I hope this helps you get to see your friend. Not all family is blood." I will not be going back to California, folks, for anything, for a funeral. Won't do it. I'm not going to do it. California is absolutely full of craziness. It's insanity. The airlines are insanity. I can't do it. Won't do it. But you know, I'm gonna do what I can. Scott Maltzberger, $5 says, Big John, from one Cali guy to another, Godspeed. So sorry for the loss of your friend Randall. I worked with Randall, I don't know, 8 years, I think, about 8 years. Good guy, fun guy, funny guy. And like me, he tended to get in trouble with his mouth. That's good stuff. But thank you there, Scott. And Cali guys, you know, it's funny where I'm at now. You know, I meet people from California who are extremely conservative in the South. They're now in the South, but they're extremely conservative. They're from California, and they think that this place is better than California. And California is one of the most beautiful places. Well, it was, you know, from the beaches to the valleys to the agriculture to the deserts to the mountains to the fucking forests. Just an incredible state has been ruined by these fucking liberals. Ruined, folks. Not just the politics, not just the social structure, but they're ruining, and not you know, not with putting houses in pristine forests, but by destroying the quality of life for Californians, causing them to live the way they do. If you drive anywhere, you know, south of Santa Rosa, there's homeless encampments that just it's incredible. The trash, how they've trashed California, folks. Literally, the liberals have turned it into trash. All right, we got Nicole Olson with $20 and said, bought Monkeys concert tickets. At time of purchase, no mask or bees required. No mask or Jim Jones juice required. Now need the Kool-Aid or a negative test to go. I need advice. If I get tested, am I just handing over my DNA for government to store and use? That is a fine question. When you sign up for, let's go with this one, for one of the genealogy systems out there, they say, you know, go ahead and take a swab and swab your gums and send it in, and we'll run your DNA. We'll give you a genealogy. We'll kind of pull up what we've got on your family history, and there's a bunch of companies that do this. I think 23andMe or genealogy.com. The Mormon Church is really involved in a lot of this. They get your DNA. Now, I think the whole thing is a fucking sham. They want all of our DNA for what? I mean, I've heard all the conspiracy theories on why they want everyone's DNA. I think they want to know who is and who isn't of certain lineage, who is and who isn't a genetic receptacle for some lost DNA. There's a lot, and this is just my opinion, lost DNA. Some very interesting tribal organizations, if you will, are out there. So I think it's twofold, though, this testing. Number one, the nasal swab test. I know people that have gotten that, and every single time they get it, everyone I know that has gotten the nasal jab has gotten, sooner or later, a serious case of cerveza bug, where they suffer the nastiest symptoms. They lose their sense of smell and taste, or they just feel like shit for a few days. Every single one of them that I know that has gotten the nasal one. Now, of course, I think it's a great idea to take a stick and jam it so far up your nose that your fucking sinuses hurt for 3, 4, 6 hours. I mean, what part of that doesn't sound like it's really goddamn smart? When you jam something through your mucous membrane and literally push against your fucking brain, how smart is that? Especially knowing that the swabs themselves have been found to contain many very negative properties. Let's say this. I have to be very careful with what I say, so I'm trying to be very careful. Now, if you're just going to do the gum swab to find out if you've had cerveza bug, whether or not you've got it, yeah. You know, that one I mean, there's still a chance you could get something off of their swab. I don't trust them. I don't trust any of these fucking people, because everyone who has gotten the Jim Jones juice, every single one who has gotten the Jim Jones juice turns around and looks at everyone else and goes, now you have to do it, and you have to do it, and you have to do it. Why? You and I know the answer. They feel really good about themselves, and they want everyone else to take the same risk and the same chance, so they feel good about themselves. See, they take it, and then they feel kind of a little bit silly. They don't want to be the only one in the room taking it, so they want to look around and go, who hasn't taken it? Then they want to blame others who haven't taken it for the fact that they can get a breakthrough case, meaning it doesn't work, it doesn't help. Now, as far as going to a concert, relative of mine went to the Eagles this weekend, I believe, up in the Bay Area. You know, I'm hoping she's okay. These, you know, I'm not worried about cerveza bug, folks. I'm worried about the consequences of the Jim Jones juice. I really think that the Jim Jones juice, the Kool-Aid, is the weapon. I really think it is the weapon. I think they wanted to weaponize cerveza bug, but they really couldn't. It wouldn't. And so they used it, though, what it did, removing people's taste and smell, making them feel like shit. But only 15% of people, and a very small percentage, went to the hospital, and an even smaller percentage died. It seemed, according to news reports, that the treatments, the early treatments for cerveza bug, that is jamming a tube into their fucking lungs and forcing them to breathe the way the machines wanted, that is actually what caused so many deaths. It turned out later, yeah, that was the wrong thing to do. The experts came out and said, yeah, we did it wrong. Okay, experts, thanks a lot. You tried, right? Every step of the way, folks, it seems like it was intentionally done to get us to the next step. And here's an example of that. Idiot Neil Cavuto went on Fox News, on his show on Fox News, and was begging viewers, folks, to go get the Jim Jones juice because he got a breakthrough case. Well, dude, if it didn't work, then it's not what they say it is. Well, it reduces your symptoms. Yeah, well, so does a fucking Tylenol, right? I'm sure you could make the argument that a preparation H suppository could reduce your symptoms after you get it. Right? It's not. I think that the tequila shot itself is the weapon that they wanted, and it could only be administered in the dosage levels that's needed to give them the desired effect. Right? If you get cerveza bug, it's a couple of molecules and shit gets into your body, and it multiplies until your body beats the shit out of it. That doesn't deliver the impact of taking a tube of something the size of this ink pen and just, putting 500 cc's of shit inside of you directly at one time. That's pumping you full of shit. Unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable. Don't do heroin. When I say Jim Jones juice, I mean heroin. Don't do it. Right? I've been told my whole life, you don't take experimental drugs. Don't take heroin, folks. Unbelievable. And these people are idiots, and they're pushing this weaponized crap. Diorce checks in and says, $5 super chat donation. Says, I thumbs up the stream to counteract the thumbs down. If anyone is thumbs downing this stream, they are communists, they are liars, they are socialists, they're pieces of shit. Because I'm not lying about anything. So if someone thumbs down facts and truth, then they themselves are part of the problem. You guys can go fuck yourselves. I've had it with the lies, folks. It has now cost the life of a friend of mine. The lies have caused family members of mine to risk illness, injury, and death in order to try to satisfy the megalomania of very short men with really small hands and feet. We got Magic American Regulators with a $5 super chat donation, and they wrote, we lost a member today. She went to the ER for pneumonia and got the test and died 12 hours later from the vent tube at 7 a.m. today. This is medical Gestapo. I have heard this about hospitals. And I have friends, folks, who are physicians, nurses, nurse practitioners, ER nurses, nuclear medicine tech. I know a lot of different people, nurse practitioners, physician's assistants, aka PAs, and they don't like this, folks. Surgeons. I know world-renowned surgeon. I know inventor of medical equipment through the Prepared Mind Network. Folks, this network is vast. There's 80,000 known subscribers to the Prepared Mind Network, plus affiliated networks. And more people are saying and telling me that they think that the hospitals are now killing fields. They are the killing fields in this war that's been generated and created to be fought on our soil. It's literally being fought in the United States of America, folks. World War III is being fought right now. And the fight is for freedom and liberty. And for those who don't want freedom and liberty, or those who give in to duress, coercion, and threats, they become a statistic. They become subject to the will of those who want to create salvation in a syringe. Don't surrender, folks. This is about liberty and freedom. Have no doubt. We have Crazy Uncle with a $10 super chat donation. It says, prepper tip for the winter. Make sure you winterize your house. The fewer leaks equals less fuel needed. Fuel dollars are nuts, or fuel expense costs are nuts. Also, double check your gear. The cost of energy, folks, is skyrocketing. And thank you again, Crazy Uncle. The cost of energy is skyrocketing. Natural gas is going through the roof. The predictions for this winter are that it's going to be colder than normal. So expect to hear more things like, you know, storm bombs and polar vortexes and, you know, ice tornadoes and who knows what else they're going to create in terms of the vernacular to describe winter events. And who knows how much these winter events are going to be, shall we say, modified using modern technology to create an effect whereby the storms are colder, or they drop more precipitation, or they are directed in, you know, which direction they travel. Who knows what will be applied? I just know it is coming. We got Prepping Plumber with a 556 super chat donation. He says, SFMF, keep up the outstanding work. Semper Fi, brother. And also, just in case you guys aren't aware, plumbers have these things called plumber's candles. They're excellent for light, a little bit of heat, keeping your food warm. Go to any hardware store, your Ace Hardware, and if you want emergency light, get yourself some plumber's candles. All right. We got Darcy, thank you very much for the PayPal super chat donation. I will make sure that this gets to Randall's family. Unbelievable. And admin account, $50 to Randall's family. My condolences. I am going to get this. I'll get it to Randall. Thank you again very much for everything, folks. It sucks. Right now we have almost 1,000 people here, and I would like everyone, if you can, click on the URL, copy it, paste it, email it to people. We're going to be talking about more SHTF madness as we go through the show here. It is Sunday Night Live. We got Prep Game with $5 super chat donation, and he says, I believe they use sports to keep minds occupied. They're okay with packed stadiums because it keeps the minds distracted from their ongoing witchcraft. And yeah, we're talking witchcraft, all right. Maria Abramovic, the spirit cooking witch, good buddy of Hillary Clinton, the Hollywood elite, people like Epstein's and the Podestas, and I'm sure Alec Baldwin as well. I'm sure that, yeah, this is all part of their nefarious plan, their evil idea. I don't like them. I don't like anything they stand up for or believe in. But yeah, we're finally at a point, folks, where I think we're seeing it. The bread and circus affair. Bread and circus affair that's going on. They want to keep us entertained. They want to keep us distracted. They're having a hard time with their woke community and their Black Lives Matter bullshit and everything else that is making sports uninteresting. And when we get to the world of music, many musical artists are anti-mask, anti-cerveza bug, fake prophylaxis, i.e. The jab. Like, it's just, yeah, what Dave Mustaine comes to mind, Eric Clapton comes to mind, and many other artists are saying, you know, it's bullshit. Who was that one, the one chick, I can't remember her name, Nicki Minaj. I think that was her. And others, pro sports players, are saying no more. Folks, we have a battle. This is World War III. People are dying. They're getting sick. They're being defeated. They're being pushed from thinking for themselves over to this pen of sheep. They're captured. Once they jam you once up the arse with their idea and a finger and start puppeteering you, you are now their puppet. That's what they want, folks. They want as many of us over on their side, controlled at their mercy. right? Just get it, just get it, just get it. Everything will be fine. Oh shit, now you're going to need what? Boosters. This winter, folks, they're going to booster the fuck out of the country. What's the point? If it's going to mutate and change, what good does the original two tequila shots do you? Unfucking believable. I want to thank you, Mr. Skylight, for all that you do. I just got your email pop through. Folks, there's so many people working on this left and right. Over to the super chat side, and we're right at 1,000 people. Thank you very much. I haven't even, folks, there's so much to cover. Red Pill Files says, sorry to hear about your friend. My mom went to the hospital today. She has, I swear, I'm hearing more and more of this. My mother went to the hospital today. She has blood clots in her colon. Yes, she had the Jim Jones juice along with my sisters. Red Pill Files has been with us a long, long time. I hope your mother recovers and gets the treatment she needs to get past this. I'm not hearing about people dying from cerveza bug, folks. I'm hearing about people being injured, dying, hospitalized because of getting the Kool-Aid. The Kool-Aid is the weapon. The Kool-Aid is what is killing people. The Kool-Aid is what is making people sick now. Unbelievable. We got the bar 70 with a 556 super chat donation. Yeah, 556, folks, is one of my favorite numbers on the planet. And that's why if you're new here, you'll see that number. Why are they doing a 556 donation? The same reason some people do a $3.08 or a 7.62 cent. So we have a 30.6 donation, a $30.06. We have all kinds, folks. It's up to you. What you guys do here keeps me coming back to the camera, in front of the microphone, in front of the cameras. You're talking to the real deal here. I'm Jim, John's brother, but we're both the real deal. We work on this thing together. John is out for another week on suspension, but he'll be back, and then we'll resume our trading off and on, so you never know which of us you're really going to get. But typically, we just say John, but kind of allows us to work behind the scenes. So yeah, I'm Jim, your host for tonight's Sunday Night Live. The Bar 70 says, condolences. I heard that the elite are looking for DNA of the god, not sure if true. My wife and I got sick, but no juice. We survived. Take care. I used to get sick every year, 1, 2, 3, 4 times. I used to blame my sons, right? John and Luke, or my nephews, John and Luke. And my other brother, Thomas, he calls him, well, he treats my, John and Luke are like a pretty tight family unit. Anyways. I used to blame kids for getting sick, but it was just my health. Since the late winter, early spring of 2014, since then, I have never been sick. John got sick so bad he was sick for 3 fucking months. 3 months, folks. Cold turned into a cough, turned into bronchitis, turned into walking pneumonia. And that was one of the times it almost killed him. One of you guys recommended ascorbyl palmitate, which is liposoidal vitamin C, oil-based vitamin C. And he got over that cold that lasted months. And everyone in the town he lived in, everyone seemed to have gotten it for 2, 3, almost 4 months. Everyone was really sick that year, that early part of 2014. And since then, John hasn't been sick. And since he told me what it did, I have not been sick. And I take ascorbyl palmitate also. It's just a vitamin C that is easily absorbed and stays inside the body. You don't piss it away in a day. It stays in your body for days and days and days. Very effective. We got Miss Marilyn checks in with a $10 super chat donation. I want to thank everyone again for cutting and pasting the website address and sending it to friends. family, co-workers. And Prep Game became a supporter. Thank you, Prep Game. Awesome deal. Patreon, folks. Truth Faction, $10. Let's make tonight for his family. Trying not to think too hard about it because it's really pissing me off. Internet Explorer, $2. Joe Biden cancels the Keystone XL pipeline project. Oh, yeah. Energy prices are going to go through the roof. Through the roof. Gas is fucking skyrocketing. In the South where I'm at, it's more expensive here now than it was in California when I left a year ago. Unbelievable. Natural gas is going through the roof. Bunker oil is going to go through the roof. The cost of coal, everything is going up. The cost of food's going up. So yeah, winterizing your house, sealing cracks and leaks, doing your best, folks, to save energy because it's getting more expensive to live. Even Jen Psaki had to admit, well, it's going up, but it's no big deal. Oh, that means the economy's working, she says. No. The economy working means businesses are more productive, means businesses can produce whatever product it is they produce more efficiently with less manpower, less cost, less expense. Prices should go down as technology goes up, not the other way around. Whether it's the mining, the transportation, the production cost, distribution, everything, prices should naturally go down, folks, as every step along the way becomes more efficient, more proficient at what they're doing. Think about it. If they take their mining cost with, let's just use copper. Copper is $4 a pound. Let's just say, I don't even know what copper is right now. That's John's gig. Copper is $4 a pound. If they can get twice as much copper out of the ground at half the cost, now it's $2 a pound to produce, right? Then they pass that cost savings along, right? The engine builders in diesel trucks reduced their expense by, say, 10% because they came up with a new injector turbo system, right? Let's just say that. So the engineers that work on diesel engines, they can make a more efficient diesel engine. And so it gets better fuel economy. They can outbid other truckers to bring the cost of transport down. Then let's see, at the smelting plant, they have a way to reduce cost by being more efficient. They get more copper out of a given ton of semi-refined ore. All the way down the line, folks, things should get less expensive because they become more efficient, more proficient, more productive. Because technology, yeah, remember how we're supposed to be technologically advanced? Technology should make things better, not more expensive. Instead, we have prices going up, and Jen Psaki, Raggedy Ann, dipshit redhead out of Washington, D.C. says, oh, the economy's working. That's why prices are up 15, 20%. Makes no sense at all. Fishman does $5 super chat donation. He says, thoughts on the communist Alec Baldwin? Yes, he is a communist. The days of Democrats pretending to not be communists or socialists or fascists or even progressive. They're just like, no, I'm just a Democrat. No, you're communists. You want to take from everyone else and redistribute their wealth. Alec Baldwin has killed a person, folks. Famous actor Alec Baldwin. Most famous for his movies Beetlejuice, The Hunt for Red October, and for his comedic portrayal as President Trump on Saturday Night Live. Prolific actor, been around a long time, and I'm going to sneeze. Alec Baldwin once commented on the shooting death of a crime suspect by a policeman. He questioned, how does it feel to have done such a thing? Well, I guess the same question's being asked of him now. Here's where I want to go on this. Any one of you understands, especially if you were a member of the military or had official training from professional, but even non-professional, that is people who don't accept money for training. When you teach someone how to use a gun, handgun, shotgun, or rifle, or even a bow and arrow, crossbow, any weapon that has a projectile, you treat that weapon, that delivery system, as if it is always loaded. You never, ever, ever, ever point it at anybody. Right? If someone hands you a revolver or a pistol or a shotgun or a rifle, even if they check it to make sure it's unloaded to hand to you, your job when you receive that is to also you check it yourself to make sure it is unloaded. Well, this jackass took a weapon that he was told it was safe, right? Shot and killed somebody. In other words, he didn't responsibly behave when holding a weapon. In the world of Democrats, everything is like a movie. It's all pretend. It's all bullshit. Well, apparently that's not how things work. It's not just bullshit. All right, those are, and he wasn't the first. I believe an actor who was on a show back in the late 80s put a prop gun to his head and killed himself with it. Alec Baldwin is a giant asshole. He's a giant asshole. And he just demonstrated the mentality of Democrats and communists everywhere, and that they don't take anything seriously. They think nothing bad can ever happen because they're elite and so smart, and they don't take proper precaution. They don't obey the rules that everyone else obeys, and this is what happens. Raimi Maris checks in with 20 euro into the super chat donation box, and he says, for Randall's family. Thank you, Raimi, very much. I appreciate that, buddy. I'll make sure I get the right contact information and get this handled. We got Diorce with a $45. 45 ACP is what that 45 is for. Says, can we just start calling the Kool-Aid Jim Jones juice the Hokey Pokey? Think about it. It's kind of a hokey to take it anyway. Oh, yeah, one of the nicknames it's the Hokey Pokey. I try to stay away from the word pokey the same way I try and stay away from the word jab. But I do like to talk about Kool-Aid. And I try to give some variety and keep it mixed up. Crazy stuff. Think about it. It is hokey to take it. And it is the pokey. Something else I wanted to talk about real quick is our good friends at Olight. I ran that commercial earlier, commercial, bumper, promo, whatever you want to call it, for the preparedmind.club. And we are now a distributor for their products, Olight. And I did a little review on them several weeks ago for the my AR airsoft platform. And I found it to be a pretty decent light. They've been sending me some of their flashlights also, and I've sent them out to friends to use and have gotten good reports on them. They are bright. Some of them can be recharged with a USB charger. They're good little things, and I wanted to thank the people at Olight for sending me their products for review. I think they've done very well under the circumstances and in the conditions they've been put to work on. Thank you again, Olight folks. We got Mr. Skylight checks in with a $99.99 super chat donation. He says, steady as she goes, Captain. All hands on deck. I tell you what, your comment there, Mr. Skylight, thank you, is that, yeah, all hands on deck, folks. But this ship, if we want to think of the United States of America as a ship on the seas, it's getting tossed about quite a bit. And I think I want to roll back, and Mr. Skylight has done some awesome research. If you are part of Patreon, in fact, if you're part of Patreon, you get news articles, you get videos there that I can't talk about here. And I'm not allowed to talk about it, but we can on Patreon get you videos of other experts, professionals, doctors, scientists, researchers who put out a lot of information on cerveza bug. And I believe right now we're in World War III, folks. But it's every country at war with its own people. And like World War II, where it was the fascists of Germany, Italy, and Imperial Japan, we are once again fighting for our lives, and we're fighting against global fascism. So if the war is global, world war, and truly the enemy of freedom is socialism, social fascism, and social communism, then every country need not fight with other countries. China doesn't need to go to war with the United States. China doesn't need to go to war with Europe. China doesn't need to go to war with Japan. China doesn't need to go to war with Russia. All China has to do is get every country to go to war with its own people. And does that not sound like what we have? You know, what President Trump called the China virus, right? Basically, by getting that into every country, they've got every country now fighting its own people. And people worldwide are having to fight against their own governments for liberty, for freedom. And the opposite of liberty and freedom is big business, big pharmaceutical, forcing the people to accept their own slavery. Getting people to accept slavery as a way of life, a condition of employment. Unfucking believable. There is a mother who wanted to air a TV ad because Pfizer, right, accepted her daughter. Get this, little girl. I'm going to tell you her name. Little girl Maddie Duguay volunteered, folks, to take Pfizer's clinical trials. According to the parents, this girl, this 13-year-old girl, wanted to help people, so she volunteered to be part of this trial. And so what happened is going to upset you a little bit. A commercial was created by the mother telling Maddie's story, using pictures of her and then what happened to her. The link for this, folks, can be found on patreon.com. YouTube will not. There is no fucking way YouTube would ever let me show you this video, because all it does is show what happened to a 13-year-old girl. She, unlike my friend Randall, she didn't die. Instead, she received an injury, a permanent injury. At the last minute, Comcast decided they wouldn't air the ad. They wouldn't allow it on TV. But in the video, if you watch it, you'll see a 13-year-old girl suffering, crying, and also in convulsive shakes because of what happened, folks. When you go to a hospital and you are given a medication by a doctor, the expectation of being injured or killed should be such a small percentage. And this has been the rule in the past with regard, folks, to these prophylactics. That it's 1 in a million. Instead, we're getting 1 in very much lower numbers, where every one of us have had somebody that we know that have been injured or killed now. I'm getting way too many damn reports of people also suffering from spike proteins being shed, affecting their lives, their health. This is World War III, folks. And this is how it's being fought. It's being fought for the hearts and minds of the people. And when they beat people down, when they scare them enough, when they convince them to act like sheep, they suffer. There's supposed to be public comment with the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, for the Pfizer data, and it's supposed to take place on Tuesday, October 26th. This whole children ages 5 to 11. You can hit a link, submit a comment. It's unbelievable, folks, what they're doing. It's just unbelievable. This little, it's just too much. Here's another one. I've got another one for you. I am really pissed off because I'm realizing that that's what is going on, folks. They're separating us. They're taking the entire population and they're peeling off all the sheep. And those are the ones who are being made to suffer. Those are the ones who are getting sick. Those are the ones who are dying. And then they point to the rest of us who say, no fucking way. And they're going to commit greater atrocities. They're going to make greater demands against us. In Canada, by the way, a 17-year-old healthy kid who played hockey. Folks, hockey is a nasty sport that requires great cardiovascular, cardiovascular health, hand-eye coordination, feet, full body coordination, quick mind. 17-year-old boy, folks. 17-year-old boy. Guess what he died of? Guess what he died of? It wasn't because he danced the hokey pokey. It's because he drank the Kool-Aid. Now, another news story. Josh Watkins was inspired by his daughter to speak out against the mandates. And then he got fired. There's 4,000 perfusionists in America. And this gentleman, Josh Watkins, is one of them. Now, like Randall and like me and John and others, they're from extreme Northern California. So Josh Watkins used specialized equipment to maintain a patient's heart and lung functions during open heart or related surgeries. They operate the cardiopulmonary bypass machine, which keeps a patient alive while their heart is being operated on. That's what this guy does. So Josh worked in 2 hospitals, Shasta Regional Medical Center, that's by Mount Shasta, where they accept all religious exemptions, folks, for cerveza bug with no question asked. And he also worked at the Catholic Dignity Health Mercy Medical Center, where they fired healthcare workers for refusing to take the Jim Jones juice. So one place accepts all of them, and the Catholic hospital fires people. Unfucking believable. Anyways, according to Josh Watkins, the Catholic Hospital Mercy Medical Center has been very selective in approving its religious exemptions. Unbelievable, folks. There's only so many of these professionals in the country. There's only so many of them, and they're just firing them. They don't give a fuck, folks. They're forcing people to comply. In fact, the Pope, before the weekend hit, the Catholic Pope out of Vatican, which is located inside the nation of Italy, came out and said that there need to be more censorship of people, more silencing of voices that disagree with the experts, these same experts, folks, who are responsible for killing children and crippling children and adults and firing adults. You know, months ago, these people were all heroes, folks, and now they're goats. Now they're unwanted, the unwashed. So Josh Watkins decided to let his 11-year-old speak at a healthcare worker rally. It's unbelievable, folks. It's just everything they're doing is to tear us apart, to fire people, to cost them their lives, and it's pissing me off. And I think that that's also part of their intent. Now, I'm not recommending anything dangerous or harmful or violent, and I'm not glamorizing or glorifying any of that shit. I'm just saying they're pissing people off and they're hurting them. They're absolutely hurting them. Blue Cord Devil checks in. Blue Cord Devil checks in with a 762 super chat donation. He says this, and we've been getting from many of you an ongoing serial account of what is happening in your lives. And I really appreciate you guys sharing that for everyone to hear. Folks, right now, after an hour, we've got over 1,000 people, almost 1,100 people live right now, understanding that we are in a fight for our lives as a nation and as individuals. And we need to come together in stronger, tighter, more unified groups to support each other and to fortify our own belief systems. Don't let them convince you you're bad. Don't let them convince you you can't do it. You can't be alone. You can't be without their solution to their problem that they fucking created. We got Blue Cord Devil says, wife's work is forcing the non-Jim Jones juiced to weekly test. She can't due to her cancer. They will fire her and lose her insurance, killing her. Prayers, please. Everyone, yeah. Folks, this is where we're at. They mandate things. They're forcing people to do things. They are making prejudicial decisions against our individual liberties and then saying, well, since you won't comply, we're going to punish you. I remember when it was that if you are sick or ill, not too many years ago, under the Obama administration, they had FMLA, family medical leave, right? If you're sick, they can't fire you. If you're sick, they can't fire you. FMLA, right? Unfucking believable. Now they'll just fire you because you won't take one of their medical requirements. It used to be under the HIPAA law, folks, that nobody could know what your medical conditions were, what your medical status was. It was nobody's business but your own. And now all of a sudden it's everybody's fucking business. Not only that, but you have to prove it if it's demanded by an employer or the government or someone else. Unbelievable, unconscionable, unconstitutional. And the Supreme Court of the United States will not take this up. Why the fuck not? Because to do so, folks, would be an admission. Not a tacit admission, but a direct admission by the government of the United States that both the legislature, the executive, and the judicial all see your rights, your Constitution, the law of the land as nothing more than an obstacle to them and their tyranny, and that they don't care, and that they'll use their authority and their force to remove your rights and to run over the top of you. Unfucking believable. Prepping Outside the Box does a $20 super chat donation. And at some point, he says, at some point, you must give up your standard of living and stand for the beliefs you stand for. Kids are always listening and will learn from our actions. Thank you very much, Prepping Outside the Box. Having the courage of your convictions is what you're speaking of. Back during the Rodney King riots of the early 90s, I was in Sacramento. I was in South Sacramento. I was on Florin Road. And I remember as the rioting and burning and looting was going on and the destruction, there was a black man. standing on the side of the road, wearing a pair of jeans, cowboy boots, a pink polo shirt, and a cowboy hat. He had like 3 or 4 different American fashions going on at one time. And his sign that he held up, the sign that he held as people drove by, it said, "Stand for what's right or don't stand at all." He wasn't yelling, he wasn't shouting, he just stood there holding this sign. And to this day, folks, 30 fucking years later, I still remember the look of concern on his face, fair, calm, determined to spend his entire day there holding that sign so that when people drove by, they got his message. That was pre-internet, folks. There was no way to get a message out the way we can today, the way you can do a super chat donation and get your question, your comment, your idea up and out to everybody in the internet. Back then, you stand on the side of the road with a piece of cardboard. And to this day, his message is still right here. Courage of your convictions. What do you believe in? Stand for what's right or don't stand at all. Folks, I don't live the way I used to live, right? On many different levels, personally, professionally, I made a stand for what I believe. I wasn't going to stand to be personally abused. I wasn't going to stand anymore and be professionally abused. And I wasn't going to stand to be politically abused by the state of California. And so now I'm in the Deep South, and I'm looking at federal abuse, media abuse, medical abuse, military abuse, legal abuse, educational abuse, financial abuse, monetary abuse. Name it, folks. They're abusing us, not just me. And I'm not a victim. I'm not playing fucking victim here. What I'm saying is they're trying to abuse us, as evidenced by the condition of the world that we're now in. Don't let them. Stand for what's right. Understand where we're at. All very important. James Burse does a $2 super chat donation. He says, "It's time to John Galt this place." And I'm glad that statement came up right where it did. And I want to thank Jolene, the prepared mother. She is the moderator in charge behind the scenes. We also have Uman back there. And don't forget that when you see someone with the blue wrench in the comment section, they want to hear you be a troll. They want to hear you be an asshole so they can say hi. So all trolls, be sure and put up your nastiest comments so that we can take care of you. We can get you fixed up. But thank you, Jolene, again, for doing all that you do behind the scenes. Folks, there's a lot of people behind the scenes. Now back to John Galt. John Galt was kind of a anti-hero of the book Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. It's kind of the anti-hero because his action, it wasn't a positive action that saved the world. It was a negative action that John Galt did. Now, without ruining the story, John Galt had an invention in the book that would change the world. But he said, rather than give it to these fucking communists, which is exactly what was being talked about in this book, socialism, folks, social fascism and social communism were the enemy in this book. And John Galt said, no, I'm not going to give you an invention that will save the world because you, bad guys, government, would only use it to enslave the world. So he said, fuck you, and he walked away. And people would ask the question, because it was, some people were known as, his name became famous, John Galt. Who is John Galt? And so John Galt walked away. People are doing it right now, folks. Surgeons, engineers, airline workers, policemen, bus drivers, firemen, construction workers. I've got more stories, people, about others just walking the fuck away, from their jobs. Border Patrol is going to fire up to 5,000 of their agents because of this mandate. Folks, some people are saying, you know what, I quit, fuck you, and they're out. Other people say, guess what, you're going to have to fire me, knowing they're going to be fired because they're playing a game with the government. They're playing a game with their employer. Fire me. It'll allow them to sue for benefits, sue for damages later. Who is going to be held responsible for this, folks? Who? Thank you very much, Bonnie Blue, for the story on the Border Patrol and 5,000 agents, folks. 5,000 agents. Border Patrol agents, what are they doing? Well, Border Patrol agents are the ones who are patrolling our border and stopping illegals from getting in the country when they can get in. When they can get in. If they can get in, right? The fewer Border Patrol agents we have, the fewer immigrations and customs enforcement, the fewer anybody that's supposed to be protecting the border, the more of these scumbags can just come in our country. These illegal aliens, potential terrorists, disease-ridden people, child and woman traffickers who are trafficking children across the border for whatever purpose, disgusting purposes. Folks, it's awful. Admin account, $50 super chat donation says, John, sorry for your loss. I have been listening to you for a long time and love what you do, especially answering questions and situations which come to mind. Thanks for what you do, John. You're Jim here. I'll accept that on John's behalf. You're very welcome. The loss of Randall, he's a friend. I can't imagine. I mean, I can. I don't want to. Losing more friends to this, losing people I love, losing family members distant, and then losing family members close. I can't imagine losing a spouse, someone that you love, someone that's a life partner to you. Your children, your parents, losing them to this shit, these fucking lies, losing someone to fear. Nothing I do costs people their lives. All I try to do is tell people, get prepared for what they're doing out here. Screwing with the food supply system, the fuel supply system, the electrical supply system. All these things, folks, are the infrastructure of our lives. What we require to get along, to get through a day. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. All of these things, folks, are provided through an infrastructure system. It's an infrastructure system that's being decimated by Washington, D.C., big pharmaceutical companies, the bureaucracies, all of these state agencies, and even city and county agencies that are hell-bent on screwing people's lives, and all the individual government officers or agents or employees who have a badge or a business card that says they have authority, and they'll screw with your life while they are guaranteed, folks, to get their income, their food, their water, their comfort, their retirement. They all think they're on the winning fucking team, and they're just doing the duty. Well, screw them. Russ F. checks in with a $5 super chat donation. He says, Bill Gates says those of us on Social Security should be cut off from all of our money being returned until we get the Jim Jones juice. Your thoughts? Oh, yeah. You see, the way the government sees it is that money that you pay into the social system, whether it's for Social Security retirement or Social Security insurance, disability, or whether you pay into the social system of unemployment. See, they keep track of the money and say, well, this is how much you put in, so we'll give you that much back out. But most people don't get to their money, folks. Social Security recipients, in a lot of cases, die long before all the money they were put into the system gets paid out. It is a type of Ponzi scheme. It's a type of Ponzi scheme. But what Bill Gates and government officials and other of their ilk, and I mean that in the most negative fashion possible, they believe that because you're engaged in an agreement, a contractual agreement with the government, which of course they use fraud to force us into. If I could have all the money, folks, in my life that was paid into Social Security and disability and unemployment and every other fucking tax that's a socialized account, if I could have all that money back with, I don't know, give me 6% interest, I would be a lot wealthier than I am today. In fact, instead of just having Spam in my my pantry, I may have Spam and maybe some other canned meats. Anyways, the point is they think that because we're engaged in a contract with them, they have the right to make demands upon us. That is to say that because you have contractually obligated the government to accept your money, they can contractually obligate you to perform as they demand, or they won't give it back. See, but there's no way to opt out of the government. You can't say, well, unless you're a state employee, and this pissed me off when I learned about it, that like California employees, state workers in California, they can opt out of Social Security. They won't have to pay hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars a month to Social Security. Instead, it goes into the PERS, the Public Employee Retirement System, the CalPERS system, where they get their money plus whatever increases they get through investing it in Wall Street or other investment vehicles, buying municipal bonds, etc. See, they're allowed to get out of the system, but I'm not. I'm forced to participate in their disgusting, sick system. And by sick, I mean it is sick. And then the government gets to say, well, if you don't perform as we demand, we're not going to give you your own money back. Because you see, once you pay into a social system, folks, it's really not your money. They say there's an account there with your name on it, but that's only to make sure you don't get too much back. That's only to keep track of you and how hard you've worked for mother government, or Big Brother, if you will. And Big Brother will tell you if they think you're good enough. How about if Big Brother government and big government corporate pals like Bill Gates, how about if they say, we don't really like Jim, we don't really like John, we don't really like Jolene, we don't really like Uman, we don't like Kaz, we don't like Vaughn, we don't like anyone in the R Syndicate, we don't like anyone in the Prepared Mind Network, so we're going to punish them. They're going to get the minimum payback. Minimum payback. How about universal basic income, where everybody gets paid $1,000 a month, whether you're poor, middle class, or rich? Everyone gets $12,000 a year, $1,000 a month as a basic income. But once you make more than $50,000 a year, you have to pay back $1,000 a month or more. And the more you make, the more you pay back. So yeah, everyone gets UBI, but your tax bill at the end of the year is much higher. You really think, folks, the government's going to give away free money? They're not going to give away free money. Someone's going to pay for it, and it's going to be you. So we got Penelope checks in. Hey, Penelope, with a $50 super chat donation. And I tell you, Penelope, I am going to take a vacation at some point. Thank you so much for all the support you give me off to the side. Folks, there's a lot of you who text me, email me, message me, get a hold of me, and give me words of encouragement to continue doing this job, which I really enjoy doing. You guys support the efforts here that are put into it, and you make this system work, the system of sharing information. And we got Redline Enterprises is back with the $22,250 super chat donation. And that is one heck of a round, the $22,250 for what's known as varminting, getting rid of destructive pests and nuisances on the ranch. Anyways, here's the quote from Redline. It says, thoughts on you think payback will start with all the low-life health officers or higher up the leech ladder? Payback, folks, is going to start. And what he means by payback is, when will vigilante retribution, who's going to be first in line? It's going to be those that show up and use violence. And I'll refer or defer to the proverb, live by the sword, die by the sword. So those that employ violence as a means of life, they are the ones who are going to die by violence. For example, highwaymen, thieves, right? They make a living stealing from others, and odds are they're going to use that violence, and someone at some point will use violence back. Government uses the threat of violence and real violence. They threaten you with violence. And most people go to the sheep. And that leaves a smaller percentage of us where they use real violence, right? They're using corporations to threaten people. They're using the medical system to threaten people. They're using the government payment systems to threaten people. Ultimately, they're going to get to the place where they use law enforcement, where they're going to use National Guard or military or United Nations workers to threaten people physically. At some point, folks, it is when violence is used that people are going to crack and they'll fire back with violence. I'm not inciting, encouraging, or recommending that. I'm telling you that is what is going to happen. Now, as far as the low-life health officers and other bureaucrats, I think once the high-velocity exchange of ideas occurs, everybody who has an offensive role in the destruction of the country are going to be asked questions. The nature of the question is going to come in many forms. Someone may ask, aren't you one of those people that were writing tickets for mask violations? Weren't you one of those people who were shutting down businesses, costing people their jobs, their lives? Weren't you one of those people who was pushing a poison on people, making demands of people, threatening them? Yeah, they're going to be put to the test, as it were, and it's not going to be nice. Others, and when you mention higher up the leech ladder, meaning government bureaucratic officials, people who are government bureaucratic officials are going to be asked questions. What was your role in all of this shit that the people have had to suffer? What was your role? And people, folks, some will say, well, I was one of those health officers that wrote tickets to people. And others are going to say, oh, no, that wasn't me, and they'll deny it. It's going to be nasty. And I don't like any of it, folks. But I'm not the one who has decided to trade my morality, my decency, my integrity. I'm not going to be one of those people, folks, who are liars, cheaters, and thieves amongst government that are willing to destroy America and destroy other people's lives for a paycheck. And there are thousands and thousands and thousands of Border Patrol agents, state police, city police, and even in some cases, sheriff's deputies who are refusing to obey. They're refusing to obey. They're saying, fuck it, not going to do it. Not going to enforce those rules, not going to destroy businesses, not going to destroy lives, not going to violate people's rights, and those are good people. So when they get asked, what do you do? And they say, well, I'm a cop. And someone's going to get mad and go, did you do this thing? And go, nope, I quit that fucking job and I went to work for a place that didn't ruin people's lives. But there's going to be a lot of people out there, folks, when the question's put to them, they're not going to be able to deny it. It's going to be nasty. We're not there yet. That's a ways off, but I got to tell you, we're definitely getting closer to those days, not when the good Lord judges people, but when people judge one another. And they're going to be quick trials, folks. All right, we got Diorce with a $12 super chat donation, and that 12 is a 12-gauge double-aught buck. Nice. And writes this. When I was down in Houston last week, folks, that would be Houston, Texas. And I love Texicans, folks. They're good people. He says, when I was down in Houston last week, I seen an interesting piece of graffiti on an overhead railroad bridge that said Kool-Aid 1984, except it didn't say Kool-Aid. You know what it was. It may have been more like, 1984 refers to 1984 refers to George Orwell's book about government. Abusive, overbearing government that forces everyone under massive threats to obey its commands and edicts. In 1984, the government took away the language of the people by forbidding the use of certain words. In the book 1984, the government withheld food, water, health, resources from the people in order to convince them that they were in a state of war, to punish them, or to reward them a little here and there. For example, in the book, they used chocolate as an example. Because everyone's worked so hard and we had a good blah-blah-blah harvest, everyone's going to get 2 ounces of chocolate as a reward. Yay, thank you for 2 ounces of fucking chocolate, right? Well, today, we've got, if you've got $500 disposable income at the end of the month, you can get as much fucking chocolate as you want. Why should you as a human being have to give everything to the government short of your soul and then wait for the government to give you 2 ounces of chocolate back because everyone's behaved well enough? Unfucking believable. And we're heading that direction, folks. We're heading to a 1984 Brave New World, Hunger Games, dystopian fucking nightmare. And they're going to pull the plug on us, folks. Whether it's food, fuel, electricity, they're going to pull the plug on us at some point. That is their game plan, folks. And the more you and I pay attention, the more we document what's going on a daily basis, day in, day out, week in, week out, year after year, the more we watch, the more you and I learn what is happening, what they're doing up in D.C. That is the United States government, USDC. It's a little plot of land called D.C. That's where their authority is supposed to stay and remain, not out in the 50 states. It's supposed to stay up there. But they have escaped that and convinced everyone in the country that the federal government has authority to tell us, the people, what to do and to tell corporations what to do. Unbelievable. Mike Adams checks in with a $10 super chat donation. He says, I made a career of serving my country. This is not the country I served. Now actively looking for other places to go. A lot of people have done that, Mike. I did that last July 11th. I checked out of California. I went dark for a number of hours. And when the camera came back on, I was at the RMZ with 2 suitcases and a bag of equipment. And contained within that was a 5-foot sun umbrella and a folding chair. And I set it up. I turned on the computer, turned on the phone, and was able to broadcast from the RMZ in the middle of the fucking jungle. And I was in another place, folks. I was in a jurisdiction where I could not be touched. I'm sure agents could show up and try touching me. But essentially, I was in a place where I couldn't be found and I couldn't be touched. And I went from living in a 7-foot tent, 7-foot by 7-foot tent. And you guys got to watch the process whereby I had the equipment come in and it was shipped in from around the world. And then I built a deck and I put up a yurt, a custom yurt. I had solar panels put in and created this other place like you're talking about, Mike Adams, a place other than some place that the DC government could touch me. And after spending approximately 100 days there, even before I got to the 100 days mark, I realized I was more needed here in the continental United States. And so I decided to get the fuck back and stay back. And even though the country today is not the country I served in, that I raised my family in, I realized that my country had been stolen from me by these scumbags. And if I just stayed in the RMZ, swinging in a hammock, right, battling roosters from time to time, if I stayed in that hammock sipping my pina coladas, that I would be accepting the idea that communists and fascists could steal my country and get away with it. And I was allowing that crime to exist. And just griping about it from afar wasn't good enough for me. I wanted to come back here and watch and catalog or document how they were stealing our country and screwing us over. And ultimately and eventually, I expect there to be some conflict. And I want to do my part in participating in that, whatever role that is handed to me. I'm going to go back in my personal family's history, all the way back into Schaffhausen, Bavaria, Germany, before it was, it was Bavaria. In the late 1600s, my family was dealing with tyrannical assholes in Europe. And they decided to leave. They decided to leave Europe and head to the American colonies. And so my family, many family members paid for their way over. And some of my family directly did the indentured servitude. They became temporary slaves to William Penn, as long as they came and worked the land in Pennsylvania as a form of payment. They settled Pennsylvania. My family did part of it. They did their part, whatever was required under the agreement, terms of agreement with William Penn. And they became voluntary slaves for a certain period of time, 7 years. And now they were free, right? They went to their RMZ, a real man's own to be certain, Pennsylvania, back in the early 1700s. It was not what Pennsylvania is today. There were no 7-Eleven and Quickie Marts. There weren't any Krogers. There weren't any Walmarts. It was, you now have this section of woods. You will pull all the trees out, roots, and you'll farm it and make it productive. Anyways, they fled Europe only to be confounded by a new form of tyranny. Within 2 generations, my family was under the tyranny of King George in Pennsylvania. And members of my family fulfilled their role in the American Revolution. Women, men, members of my family, young and old, they fought in the revolution, and for the effort, that much I do know. A lot of records were destroyed. But they left one form of tyranny, and then they just found it someplace else. So my thing was with the RMZ was, well, I can flee and run away from this shit in California, but it's gonna find me eventually. You can't really escape it, so you may as well confront it. So that's why I came back, folks. Am I going to allow a bunch of tyrants to steal this country from us, or am I going to participate and take every step along the way to expose the enemy, show them for what they are, encourage people to stand up, think for themselves, make their own decisions, not believe me, but make their own decisions, And am I going to be a patriot, right? Now, it's not cowardly to leave the country if you can. You're just choosing another path, right? But I went to the RMZ and then I said, fuck it, I'm coming back, right? Because there is no escaping it, not at this point. My family discovered in the 1700s, you can't escape tyranny. It has to be confronted. It's just, are you going to confront it today or tomorrow? This year or next year? Tyranny is on the rise. It is on the march. It is on the offensive, and it is not going to rest. Tyranny never rests. Tyranny never goes away. Tyranny has no mercy. In fact, tyranny delights in crushing and abusing those that submit to it. We got Alec with a $5 super chat donation. He says, Jim, he says, I have a good friend in the Marine Corps who refused the Jim Jones jab. He is now facing other than honorable discharge, and they want to pull his rank. Well, that is, sadly, this is what Marines, soldiers, sailors, and airmen are facing. They're facing punishment for having rights. If you have rights and you want them to be observed by the government, you are considered the enemy. You're the enemy of the government's agenda. Literally, you're the enemy of the government's agenda, and they will punish you. This is what's going on right now. It's pissing me off. Being, losing your rank, being discharged in other than honorable conditions. Right? It's just, so many people make decisions, folks. They do the right thing. They stand up for what's right. Right? As I spoke of earlier, you stand for what's right or you don't stand at all. So these men, these women in the service are standing for what they know to be right. Are they, ask yourselves the question, right? Are they bound by contract with the government as a service member, either enlisted or commissioned? Yes, they're bound by it. Does that binding contract, because it is a contract that you serve under. It's a contract, folks. You sign a contract with days and dates. It's an agreement. You agree to serve. But do you agree to allow a demand to be placed on you that could cost you your life in a circumstance other than combat? Well, see, you're always put out in combat as a Marine. You can be put out in combat and you're risking your life there. So what's the difference? The difference is one is necessary and the other is not. Facing an enemy combatant in defense of your country, or rather your countrymen and your freedom, facing an enemy is honorable, right? That's what you signed up for. People did not enlist or get commissioned into the military to be medically experimented upon. And to be told if you refuse that experiment, that you will lose all benefit, you will lose everything. That's what they're telling these people. You will allow us to experiment on you. And there is no mandate. There's no real mandate. It has not been signed. The military mandate, I was talking about the civilian there, and then you get to the military mandate. I believe that the military members are suing the government over this already. They're suing to try and defend their rights as individuals. Does the government have the right to make demands upon you that that violate your rights? Does the government have the right to send service members, Marines, overseas? Do they have the right to send service members on missions? Do they have the right to put servicemen in harm's way? The answer to that all is yes. That is one of the conditions. It is understood. It is part of the training. It is part of the military. It's known. No fucking surprise there. Right? Now, what is wrong is when, say, the President of the United States abandons Afghanistan and leaves servicemen in harm's way and does not give them the necessary tools, and even understands that their lives are being threatened by, shall we say, a car bomb, a suicide bomber, who then detonates himself and blows himself up and kills Americans. See, we don't enlist or receive a commission to be killed unnecessarily, which is why the Secretary of Defense should have resigned. General Milley should have resigned. The entire Joint Chiefs of Staff should have resigned over that failure. Absolutely. The president is a disgrace to the office, to the nation. He's disgraced his oath to protect the country against all enemies, foreign and domestic, right? That's just incredible. But they don't give a fuck, folks. They don't give a shit. They have no honor. So their dishonorable service means nothing to them. But yeah, the servicemen and women did not sign up to be lab rats. They signed up to protect you, me, their families, their nation. Unbelievable. We got Strikehold PIR with a $5 super chat donation. Super chat. It says, this scandemic is the catalyst for digital currency, no physical money, ultimate social engineering, tracking, and green deindustrialization. Strikehold. What I've got to tell you is you are correct. Yeah, this is being used as a catalyst for digital currency. It's being used as a catalyst. If you remember, when Cerveza Bug first came out, if it got on a piece of money, right? You fan your money like, yeah, that's my stack, right? My fold, my wad. We're told that money's dirty. Don't use money. Cerveza Bug can be on it, and Cerveza Bug is going to kill everybody. I don't know if you even remember that. Remember that shit? Money's dirty. Coins are dirty. Unbelievable. They want to make it digital so they can track it, so they can tax it, so they can stop you from buying things they don't want you to buy, or punish you for not behaving properly or having the proper mentality mindset, for not being woke enough, for being politically or socially insensitive to some fucking cause, like the environmental deindustrialization of the world. Oh yeah, folks. But see, Strikehold, it's more than just that. Imagine how much easier it is to control people if you not only control their currency, but you control their health. Imagine giving someone a disease and then saying, if you don't perform well, if you don't use the right words, if you don't have enough social dignity to lose all of your personal dignity and accept wokeism, imagine if you're not politically cooperative. We don't give you the next booster. You're at the end of the line for the booster that's going to save your life. Imagine if you can convince the people they have to be good or they won't get a drug to sustain their life. Imagine, folks, if the supposed cure for the illness becomes the illness. It itself becomes the weapon. And you have to be a good little boy or girl to get their cure. Right? First they give you the disease and then they give you the cure. I think that's where they're pushing this. So it's about all things, not just money. It's about all things. Social control. It's about corporate control. It's about government domination. It's about the destruction of individual liberties. It's about the destruction of the nation state, the globalization of the world, the Great Reset, the New World Order with a one world religion, and the Pope is doing all he can to make this happen. That is not to say that Catholics are bad people, folks. I'm saying the leader of the Catholic Church right now, the Pope, a communist, It is not saying the right words as far as I'm concerned. The same way, you can't say all cops are bad. The same way you can't say Americans are bad people because look what the government is doing. Or Germans are bad because look what the German government is doing. Or look what the German government did in World War II. That makes all Germans evil. Right? Evil is what evil does, folks. It is where it's at. And it is the people at the very top of the chain, those in control, who are pushing this and using their subordinate bureaucrats and agencies and muscle to push people around, including using their social miscreants on the street, Antifa, BLM, Black Bloc, and other lowbrow, low IQ, no education having communists who think they've been educated when in fact they have indoctrination on their side. Unbelievable. Okay, moving on. We have FJP13 with a $5 super chat donation. And he says, appreciate this platform. Do not forget the damaged, ruined relationships, friends, and family. You bet, folks. I myself, along with probably all of you, I'm not going to assume that any family and friend network is now intact. As of whenever you want to count. Do you want to count just in Cerveza bug times? You bet families are splitting up. Marriages are splitting up. Siblings are splitting up. Because left-wing, lunatic, lying bastards have convinced other left-wing lunatic idiots to believe their story. Facts be damned. I talk to people all the time, folks, and I keep hearing my mother, my son, my father, my daughter, my cousins, my siblings, brothers and sisters, whatever family members, they won't listen to reason. You can sit down and use common sense, logic. You can sit down and use critical thinking and say, let's explain how this works. And you lay out the facts. And these people who have been convinced by the likes of Dr. Fauci, or by the likes of President Biden, or the likes of Governor Newsom, or the likes of Barbara Ferrari, or whatever the hell the Los Angeles County health coordinator's name is. She's convinced them, the mainstream media and the mainstream media talking heads have convinced them to completely excuse using intelligence and just listen to the buzzwords and the talking points, the bullet points of the left. But these same people, folks, they've always been this way. They've always been more than willing to believe in socialist ideas. It's just now the world is such a, shall we say, fractured. I think fracture is a good word. It's Humpty Dumpty time, folks. It's been fractured. The world is fractured, fragmented, broken into 1,000 little bits so that they can control, divide and control. And they've got these people divided off so they can control them. Who is the government mad at? They're mad at Republicans, conservatives, libertarians. They're mad at patriots and veterans. Why is the government mad? Why is the media mad? Why are the Democrats mad at Republicans, libertarians, conservatives, and patriots and veterans? They're mad at us because we think for ourselves and we listen to what they say, and we have other information that says you're wrong, you bunch of leftist people. Because if you were right, we would agree with you. But you are incorrect. You possess false information. You're living on propaganda, and we dismiss it, not out of hand, but after listening to your supporting evidence. And so because we disagree with you, you now hate us and want us destroyed and want us punished. There's not a Republican government in the White House, in the legislature, controlling the Supreme Court and the bureaucracy. Folks, America's now learned how powerful the bureaucracy of the United States government in Washington, D.C. is, have we not? FBI, Department of Justice, Attorney General's Office, State Department, IRS, Postal Service, name your federal agency, bureaucrats, all of them. They're all Democrat controlled, people at the top. Not all of the workers, while many of them are leftist, yeah, not all of them, but at this point, I would throw the entire federal bathwater out. I'm going to throw that entire federal bathwater out. Just pull the plug and drain it all. Drain the swamp, I guess. Too bad it wasn't done. It can't be done at this point. We're in big trouble, folks. Big trouble. But you bet. I'm going to continue to do what I do, folks, as long as I can. Now, YouTube does not like me, and YouTube does not like you. But we use YouTube. We use their platform. They make money off of it, but we use them to communicate our ideas out into the world. We're at 2 hours almost, folks, and we have 1,200 people here. Unbelievable, crazy, good. We use YouTube to spread our opinion. We use YouTube to use the left, the news they give us. Everything I get comes from the political leftists that we use. Right? News stories come up. They may not like them, but I get a hold of them and I share it with you. I want to use their information against them by informing people of not misinformation, but real information. They just don't like me talking about it. They want to silence me. I'm not even allowed to complain anymore, folks, about how I'm censored, about how I'm silenced, because apparently it's misinformation to talk about how misinformation is misinformation. Unfucking believable where we're at in this country. But we use YouTube, folks. It's a tool. You take what the enemy gives you and you use it against them. So I'm asking you to spread the word. Spread the word, share the URL. Now, eventually they'll find a way to get rid of me. But they won't be able to destroy the Prepared Mind Network if you support us through Patreon. $2 a month, 7 cents a day is what it costs to be a member there. Some people donate more, but minimum $2 a month for a subscription at Patreon. And you get the videos when I make them, not hours later when they get uploaded to YouTube. You get them when I make them on Patreon. And you get the Worldwide Weekly Wrap-Up Uncensored. And you get to do Monday through Friday question and answer sessions with me all week long. Plus you get articles. Plus you get videos that YouTube would probably have me electrocuted for if I were to actually be able to play them. It's crazy, folks. It's really crazy. I wish I could have like a TV screen up here playing the videos that doctors make, nurses make, scientists make, experts make. But YouTube has computer systems and snitches everywhere trying to get me in trouble. So, but going to Patreon is a way I can always get you information, folks, and that's your safety net. But we do have 4 channels. 4 channels. We have, let's see, the Prepared Mind, the Prepared Mind BC John, the Prepared Mind, and Prepared Mind John. And between John and I, we get information out on these channels to you guys. So we want you to subscribe to them all, and we're going to do our best to continue. This is how we are fighting the enemy, folks. The enemy of freedom and liberty, the enemy of free speech, the enemy of the Second Amendment is everyone in the political left. And this is how we respond to them. This is how we fight. We do this every day of the week. Every day of the week, we have information coming out for you guys. This is, as I said at the beginning of the video, World War III. We're engaged in World War III. The fight of fascism and communism against us. They're fighting against us. Our freedom, our rights, our liberties, our Constitution, our nations. And it is a worldwide fight. Whether it's the French Constitution or the Australian Constitution, the Italian Constitution or the American Constitution, whatever the rules are that they call it, the fight is the government against the people and their liberties. That's the fight we're engaged in, whether we like it or not, whether we agree with it or not. That's the fight we're in, folks. And it is going to be a fight that you either engage in and win, or ultimately we're all going to be made slaves or victims. So the first thing we do is we prepare. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and having a plan to deal with immediate personal emergencies. That 10-mile radius around your place is a dot in the middle of a circle, point in the middle of a circle. That's you, 10-mile radius around you. That's what your plan should take into account. Otherwise, it's an information war, and we're engaged in it right now as we communicate. That's why they're so dead set against the First Amendment now, folks. Years ago, Hillary Clinton, years ago, back in 2016, 2015, said there's a limit to the First Amendment. First time I'd ever fucking heard that in my life. Unbelievable. Stale Loaf of Bread checks in with a $2 super chat donation. He says, JB did PR gig by visiting a disabled man, Brandon. So JB is Joe Biden, did a PR gig, public relations, visited a disabled man, Brandon. So I guess at this point, I'm going to say, let's go, Brandon. Folks, never in my life have I heard so many Americans, they want you to believe, folks, that the political left is this powerful and that the political normal people, the patriots, are this teeny little group. We are not a teeny little group, and they're not this big and powerful. To the contrary, folks, Democrats are leaving the Democrat Party and becoming libertarian. That is, leave me the fuck alone, Americans. They don't like the idea of being a Republican, but if you told them libertarian means leave me alone, I have rights, you're not allowed to tell me what to do, fuck off. People that are saying, fuck you, Biden, are people in his hometown, people in Delaware, people in any town Joe Biden goes to visit, people in sporting events, in colleges. Students are not 100% communist, folks. In fact, by the day, the verbal outpouring of let's go Brandon or fuck you, fuck Joe Biden is getting louder and louder. It's at pro sporting events. It's ending up on television, when they're trying to do the, hey, isn't this a great day for sports? You know, bread and circuses, loaves and fishes, loaves and circuses, bread and circuses, whatever you want to call it. People are making sure their voices are being heard, and they are using mainstream media as the broadcasting megaphone by doing fuck you, Biden, or fuck Joe Biden, or let's go Brandon, and getting it on television. It is unbelievable, folks. The groundswell surge against this is huge. It is World War III, and it is being fought right now for the control of our minds, for the control of our bodies and our liberties. Let's move on. We got Mumsy Bear with a 1999 super chat donation. Says, document, document, document. Well, that's what I'm doing. This is, folks, October 24th, 2021, and we are documenting what is going on this week, right now. We have references to the history in the past. We have allusions to the future. We have literary references. We have medical references, political references, media. We are documenting everything, and we're going to keep doing it. And your donations, folks, the GTFB was, when I was in the RMZ, it was, I need to get the fuck back to the country, because I need to be here for the fight. I mean, I don't want to be, swinging on vines in the jungle one day and get shot down because ultimately they win, right? I wanted to get engaged in this conflict. And it is a conflict for the hearts and minds of the American people. And I think I can make a much more persuasive argument for liberty than they can make a persuasive argument to self-enslavement. Let us move on, if we shall. We got BCP in the house, Backcountry Preps. That's Vaughn, one of the founding members of the R Syndicate. He says, the wife and I are heading to sushi wearing our new True Blood t-shirts. Hopefully we'll trigger some lib so I can help them swallow their teeth. I love you, Vaughn. You're a crazy man. And tell Karen I said hi. The True Blood t-shirts, folks, are available through the rsyndicate.com, and it's in reference to those who have not taken the Jim Jones juice, who refuse to take the Jim Jones juice, and who will die before they take the Jim Jones juice. They want their blood to be true to their DNA and not be affected by the reprogramming agents found within the Kool-Aid. We got Delyn Stanford with a $4.99 super chat donation. And he says 10.0. Jim, we are dealing with far worse than what is on the surface of fallen angels. There is very much, folks. This is a spiritual battle as much as it's a physical battle. It's a legal battle as much as it's a financial battle. This is a mental battle as much as it's a military battle. But back to your point, fallen angels. There is the belief, folks, that we have some soulless agents of evil here on this planet. Take a look at those who are committing these heinous crimes. Do you think Dr. Fauci, do you think he really understands what he's doing? Or do you think he's completely ignorant and making huge mistakes, both in terms of critical thinking, scientific notation, scientific practice, scientific process? Do you think his cheese just slipped off the cracker because he had one too many cappuccinos and he got kind of excited? Or do you think that Dr. Doom, Dark Helmet himself, do you think he is doing this on purpose and he knows full well what he is doing and what the effects are? The same way that little bastard of a man used funding, American tax dollars, to find out, to conduct medical experiments on dogs, having the dogs anesthetized so they were paralyzed while they were subjected to, well, I mean, I hate to say this, folks, but the news is back out today about the funding of exposing dogs to flesh-eating insects, parasitic insects that would attack them and eat the flesh off them while they're alive. And that is absolutely horrifying. In fact, Fuzzy Fork sent me this news article, and it's just horrifying. These people, folks, are evil. Taxpayer money was used to have dogs tortured and eaten alive by parasite-infected flies. This is reported back in August, and the experiments were conducted in the country of Tunisia. The report is finally getting into mainstream media. And cruel experimentation on dogs was conducted. They were given a $375,800 grant to conduct these experiments on beagles, folks. And a beagle is what Snoopy is. Snoopy is a beagle. He's a cartoon beagle, but he's a beagle, right? Their heads were locked in mesh cages. The cages were filled with infected sandflies so that the parasites carried by the sandflies could get into the dogs and eat them alive. I know that's horrible, and I'm sorry if I upset a few of you over that, but that is precisely what these soulless people are doing. Spiritual battle, yeah. My friend Randall, the little girl who wanted to try and help other people by proving that the Jim Jones juice worked on kids. Hundreds, thousands, and hundreds of thousands of people are dying, suffering from injuries, and are being infected intentionally by these sick, deranged, satanic bastards. It certainly is, in my opinion. It's hard to not believe that that's what these people are intentionally doing and that they're evil. They may as well come out and show us their fallen status and admit to it. You know, the Jeffrey Epsteins of the world, the Hillarys and Bills of the world, the Bill and Melindas of the world, Bill Gates and Melinda, who have participated in medical experimentation on people in India and Africa. Unbelievable. Diorce with a 9.19. That's a 9x19 NATO. That would be the 9mm Parabellum round. Thank you very much for that donation. And it's a great caliber. I myself prefer the 45 ACP, but the 9mm is a great round. It's been around, folks, since I believe World War II. One heck of a round. Carried for a long time exclusively by police, who then went back up to the 40 Smith & Wesson caliber for their sidearms. And we are still at 1,000 people plus live, and we are past the 2-hour mark. I want to thank everybody for participating in the Prepared Mind Network, the Sunday Night Live show. And folks, we're in a massive, massive fight. If you want your question, your thought, your comment read, hit that super chat button and I'll make you famous. There's a couple other things I want to go over before I check out that I think is really important. In Texas, inside that federal district, that is to say, at least in terms of de jure legal talk, any grounds in which Texas would rely on federal, shall we say, participation, well, interstate commerce is where they're being involved in Texas. They're allowing the state of Texas to get internal documents from Facebook, Twitter, and Google regarding how they censor conservatives, that is, people who think like you. Texas is now fighting big tech and big social media to find out what it is they're doing. And if they can show that they are harming us irreparably, in other words, have they violated our rights? And if they can prove it, then they can win a judgment against Facebook, Twitter, Google, and Google includes YouTube. And it sure would be nice, folks, to see them have their asses handed to them. So go Texas, right? Go Texas. And while we're talking about states that want to tell other states that suck and corporations and the federal government go screw themselves, we have Governor DeSantis in Florida. He has offered the ports of Florida, folks. He says, hey, why don't you bring those ships to Florida ports and we'll alleviate the backup in places like California, Washington, New York, Boston, other ports that are apparently incompetent and don't know how to unload ships in a timely fashion. Well, it certainly appears to me, and it appears to many others, that they are intentionally, and I'm having this reported to me from multiple sources, whether it's the labor unions, the Port Authority, the longshoremen's unions. Let's see, who are the other ones? I believe Teamsters are saying, hey, this is being done intentionally. They're intentionally withholding from us, the people, the goods and services needed as a form of political punishment to increase their pay, their power, their influence over government and over us, the people. So Florida says, you know what? Send us your ships. We'll get you unloaded. Joe Biden, you can't get it done. California, Governor Newsom, you can't do shit about this, right? You're causing the problems. You're part of the problem, not the solution. So Governor DeSantis in the great state of Florida is saying, hey, guess what? We'll help you out, America. Send those ships here. We'll get it taken care of. I bet, folks, the same thing can be said of Texas. I bet Texas is saying, bring us your ships. We'll unload them. You bet. I bet they're saying that, folks. Portland, Oregon, SeaTac, Long Beach, Port of Oakland. You're all a bunch of fucking incompetent boobs or intentional scum. Which one do you want to be? Intentional scum? Or do you want to be incompetent boobs? You guys made the choice for yourselves. You made that bed. You get to lie in it. As far as Florida, Texas, the other Gulf Coast states that are free, God bless you guys for doing what you do down there. As for me, I'm going to check out. It is Sunday Night Live. I could use a little bit of rest, a little bit of shut-eye before I wake up Monday morning, right? Put on my big boy pants, buckle up my shoes and my belt, and dive into this mess that we call SHTF. The shit has hit the fan, folks, in more ways than one. Do what you can. Do what you need to do to be prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Get your plan together. Understand where you're at in the world. And can you go some other place that you need to go for safety, comfort, health, freedom, and liberty, right? I've chosen to come back, folks. I left the incredibly comfortable RMZ to come back here, right, to get in line, to take my bite, my big bite of the shit sandwich and fight for liberty and freedom. I just chose to do it in the South because I'm tired of being cold. And I choose to do it in the South because freedom is loved down here. Independence, freedom, liberty. That isn't to say that there aren't communists everywhere and that there's not going to be trouble everywhere, because there will be trouble everywhere. Very quickly, folks, we need to fight back against everything that's being done against us. For the time being, it is psychological warfare, but that can change in a heartbeat. You need to be prepared. I do not feel like it's a good idea that I need to be the next Jeremy Brown. Jeremy Brown was the 20-year retired master sergeant from the Army who was a special forces operator. He was arrested for doing nothing wrong other than being at a political protest in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. Did not enter the halls of Congress, public ground. He did not enter the House of the People, not the House of Pelosi. It's the House of the People, yet people are arrested for entering public property, literally being invited in by the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police. I believe 4 of which at least have committed suicide now, and they're not telling us why they committed suicide. People are being held in prison, folks, and now Jeremy Brown is being held. A military hero, a congressional candidate. He's being held in jail. And at least Representative Louis Gohmert, he gave a shout out to him. But hey, Representative Gohmert, we almost had Representative Jeremy Brown, except he didn't win the election. It goes to show you, Louis Gohmert and everyone else, Matt Getz, Big Marge, you folks, even though you're elected representatives, all the FBI has to do is make up a crime about you. And you elected representatives all of a sudden go from being godlike, untouchables, to very touchable and very common. I wonder, folks, when our congressional representatives are going to tell the people, time to start exercising your more direct participation in seeking liberty in this country. Because, folks, the United States Constitution only came about because the Declaration of Independence was written and signed off upon by the people of the American colonies. That document states very clearly that we have rights, duties, and obligations as human beings to ourselves, our families, and our nation. And that is to resist tyranny, to fight tyranny, and to set for ourselves a government in place to protect those institutions of freedom and liberty. Protect them with government institutions, which are beholden to the people and not to themselves. There's going to come a point, folks, where I expect our elected representatives to say, Washington is lost. It is now time to, shall we say, oppose them with more physical means. Those days will come eventually. And I remember standing in California, listening live to Tom McClintock, who is a representative, and having him tell us, no, there's no reason to get angry. We don't need to take up arms. We don't need to go march on Washington. No, let the political process work. And at that time, I was pissed off. And I thought, Tom, you cowardly piece of shit. I understand in a way that, yeah, there is a political process. Sadly, that political process has to play out and it has to fail. It has to utterly and totally fail before the people can take the law into their own hands. To take the law, folks, the law is that which is given to us from our Creator. The law of self-governance, the right to our own lives, to ourselves as our own property, to that which we hold as ours and not belonging or beholden to anyone else, whether it is the land we walk and live on, or the money we have in our pocket, or the possessions we keep in our homes. We are kings of our own castles. The rain may drip through, the wind may blow through it, but no man may enter my castle without my permission. That used to be a saying, folks. No matter how poor, a man's home was his castle, and it could not be violated by the government. Does that sound like the world we live in today? Jeremy Brown, Master Sergeant, United States Army, in prison because he wouldn't become a stooge. He wouldn't sell out. He didn't shit on his fellow Americans. He didn't violate his personal oath to uphold, defend, and honor the Constitution and this nation and the people and everything else. And he's been arrested. How much more will this country suffer? I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be a lot more. There's going to be a lot more suffering, a lot more pain, a lot more anguish before the tree of liberty is going to require a good watering. But when it does, and I believe it was Thomas Jefferson who said the tree of liberty is to be watered with the blood of tyrants and patriots. Right? There's going to come a point where the tree of liberty, in order to survive, is going to require that blood. And sadly, folks, that day draws near. So you need to be prepared for whatever role you're going to play in it. Whether it's role of support or an active role. It is the winners, folks. It is the winners of these battles against tyrants. Right? The winner. It should be us. Right? Let's see. The tyrant of England, King George, defeated. The tyrant of France, King Louis, defeated. The tyrants in Soviet Union, Communist Russia, their system was a failure and they were defeated. Roman Empire became a corrupt, bloated, fascist government. Empire. It defeated itself. Tyrants basically defeat themselves by destroying all means of production and the capacity and desire of humans to participate in their system. In other words, people John Galt and walk the fuck away. It's happened through all time, folks. And technology will not make that the inevitable conclusion. The super rich like Bill Gates like to believe they'll have robots and transhumanism and all manner of technological marvel to help them maintain their control, power, grasp over our lives. That's what they think. They think they can win it. Finally, the elite can live forever and maintain absolute and total control forever over the people. But it has never happened in the past, folks. So And I pray they don't win this time. But I'm going to do my part to give them hell for making an effort on my watch. You guys be cool. Semper Fi. Chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. You got one more week, folks. I think Sunday Night Live next week. John will be back. Until then, I'm Jim, your co-host, stepping in for my brother. And you guys be very cool. Be safe. And I'll be back first thing in the morning to talk with you guys some more.